Okay, Patriots, welcome back. Welcome to a no-holds-barred breakdown of President Donald J. Trump's historic second term, a term that's already rewriting the playbook on global leadership. I'm Kevin, and today we're not just talking about what happened, we are dissecting the seismic shifts Trump has already delivered, starting with his game-changing Middle East pilgrimage. And this wasn't just a trip, it was a masterclass in peace through strength. A $600 billion investment pledge from Saudi Arabia and a bold rejection of the failed interventionist policies that have plagued our nation for decades.
In addition to purchases of $142 billion of American-made military equipment by our great Saudi partners, the largest ever, this week there are multi-billion-dollar commercial deals with Amazon, Oracle, AMD. They're all here. Uber, Qualcomm, Johnson & Johnson, and many, many more. So I want to congratulate everybody. So many great business executives, many of you, most of you I know. And they're coming in, about a month ago. They weren't that happy when they saw me. And now they're saying, sir, you're doing a great job. Thank you very much. It's amazing what a rising market will do. Oh, it's going to get a lot higher. In fact, I told people 5 weeks ago, this is a great time to buy. I got criticized for that. Now they don't criticize me anymore. People should have listened. But it's going to go a lot higher. You're going to see, we've never had anything like this happen. It's an explosion of investment and jobs, and great companies are coming in. Never seen anything like it. There's no better place to make a future or make a fortune, or do anything, frankly, than what we have in the United States of America under a certain President, Donald J. Trump.
Folks, please do me a favor. Help me if you can. Hit that like button, subscribe. It helps out tremendously. That's all I ask of you. And let me tell you, the fake news media tried to spin it as a failure. No trade deals, they said. Wrong again. Trump secured commitments that will fuel American prosperity, and he did it by respecting the sovereignty of other nations, something no other Western leader has dared to do. Now, folks have been calling it genuinely incredible, and they're right. Trump's speech in Riyadh wasn't just words. It was a declaration that the West must finally accept true diversity, not the fake liberalism peddled by the globalists. He criticized the missionary zeal to remake others in our image, and it's about time someone did.
The transformations have been unbelievably remarkable. Before our eyes, a new generation of leaders is transcending the ancient conflicts of tired divisions of the past and forging a future where the Middle East is defined by commerce, not chaos, where it exports technology, not terrorism, and where people of different nations, religions, and creeds are building cities together, not bombing each other out of existence. We don't want that. And it's crucial for the wider world to note this great transformation has not come from Western interventionists or flying people in beautiful planes giving you lectures on how to live and how to govern your own affairs. No, the gleaming marvels of Riyadh and Abu Dhabi were not created by the so-called nation builders, neocons, or liberal nonprofits like those who spent trillions and trillions of dollars failing to develop Kabul, Baghdad, so many other cities. Instead, the birth of a modern Middle East has been brought by the people of the region themselves, the people that are right here, the people that have lived here all their lives, developing your own sovereign countries, pursuing your own unique visions and charting your own destinies in your own way. It's really incredible what you've done. In the end, the so-called nation builders wrecked far more nations than they built, and the interventionists were intervening in complex societies that they did not even understand themselves. They told you how to do it, but they had no idea how to do it themselves. Peace, prosperity, and progress ultimately came not from a radical rejection of your heritage, but rather from embracing your national traditions and embracing that same heritage that you love so dearly.
And closing with an outro, walking off stage in an epic mic drop to the YMCA, to the Village People's YMCA, was pure Trump. But here's where it gets ugly, folks. And we do have a sponsor for this video. It is our partner, Chapter. And if you would like free Medicare help, give them a call, 270-467-2426. I'll leave that information in the description and in the pinned comment. But here's where it gets ugly, folks. While Trump was out there making history, a group of Senate Republicans, Barrasso, Boozman, Cassidy, Collins, Kramer, Grassley, Hoeven, Hyde, Smith, Lankford, McConnell, Moran, Murkowski, Rounds, Scott, Sullivan, Thune, Tillis, Wicker, and Young all voted against codifying DOJ foreign aid spending cuts.
Joining me now with more on all of this is Senator Bill Hagerty, who previously served as U.S. Ambassador to Japan in President Trump's first administration. Senator, good to see you. Thank you so much for being here. I wanted to start with trade because I know you've worked on all of these issues in the first term of President Trump. What would you like to see out of China?
Indeed, Maria. But before I say anything, I'd like to say a happy Mother's Day to your mother and to mine. My lovely wife, Chrissy, whom you know, our 4 kids are here today to celebrate this great day. Happy Mother's Day to every mother in America.
Thank you.
Back to the point. You're right. I worked on trade deals extensively, not only the 2 trade deals we did with the U.S. and Japan, but also with the team that negotiated the Phase 1 China trade deal, which China did not abide by. David's right. I'm so glad he's going to his post now. He's going to be a great ambassador representing America's interest with China. What's happening in Switzerland right now, I'm very excited about. I think there's great potential there. It has to get resolved. And with ambassadors, with leaders like David in the field, I think we're going to have every opportunity then to hold China to account, because that's going to be a critical aspect of this. They have not followed through on their prior agreements with us. We need to make certain that what we strike with them today, what we strike over the weekend and in the days to come, is something that we can ascertain, we can hold them accountable to, and that we can verify.
And of course, your work becomes that much more important right now in the face of some uncertainty around trade. People want to know that tax extension deal and the big, beautiful bill will pass. But one of the key provisions within the legislation that's causing some angst among your Republican colleagues is this proposal to raise the debt ceiling by as much as $5 trillion. The Congressional Budget Office projects that the federal government will run out of money, most likely by either later this summer or early fall. The U.S. national debt, as you know, barreling toward $37 trillion, with the interest on the debt alone at over $1 trillion, due in part by Biden administration spending of $7 trillion. Now, I spoke with Senator Rand Paul on Fox Business This Morning with Maria last week. He said in its current form, he is not supporting this bill. Watch this.
The bill they put forward will allow the debt ceiling to rise $5 trillion over 2 years, all the way through the next election. This is the largest increase in the debt ceiling ever in our country, and it indicates that not only will the deficit this year exceed $2 trillion, that they're planning on it exceeding $2 trillion next year, which to me means they're not really cutting. And if you take the entitlements away, Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, food stamps, if you don't do anything to those entitlements, there's nothing left really to cut. That's not fiscally conservative. And as long as that's in there, I can't support the bill.
Senator, I know you can only afford 3 no votes to get this thing passed. Where are you on this, and what is the status?
Well, I have a lot more faith in President Trump's ability to get long-term effect achieved here. You've seen the DOJ effort. There's a massive deregulation thrust underway. Every conversation is about efficiency, cutting costs, getting more for less. It's going to take President Trump a little bit of time, though. You know how much stimulus was unleashed into this economy. We've got to give President Trump the headroom to sort this out. And so President Trump has asked for an extension of the debt ceiling. I'm more than inclined to grant him what he needs to give him the time and the runway to actually get our economy to a far better place, a much more efficient and effective place, at the same time shoring up some of the problems that have been left to us by this Biden administration that's been outgoing.
Well, you've been very supportive of the president's agenda, no doubt, but I can't say that for all of your colleagues. I mean, look, just last week you had 26 Republicans who voted against codifying the DOJ foreign aid spending cuts into law. That includes Lindsey Graham, John Barrasso, Boozman, Moran, Capito, Mullen, Cassidy, Murkowski, Collins, Ricketts, Kramer, Rounds, Crapo, Scott, Fisher, Sullivan, Grassley, Thune, Hovind, Tillis, Hyde-Smith, Wicker, Langford, Young, McConnell, Cornyn. They all voted no on codifying these foreign aid cuts into law. Why?
Well, I can't answer for my colleagues. They've all got their reasons, I'm certain. But from my standpoint, and certainly having been a senator who served on the executive branch in the State Department and have seen the actual dispensation of this foreign aid, there's a tremendous amount of opportunity to clean this up. And I think if I talk to my constituents here in Tennessee, they've been very clear to me. We need to be fixated on and focused on America right now, shoring up what's wrong here rather than sending our aid dollars overseas. And when you looked at some of the specifics of where our aid dollars were going, it was absolutely disgraceful. This organization has run amok. I applaud Secretary of State Rubio for getting his arms around this, for taking control of it. And we certainly do need to start cutting back. We need to cut back there. We need many other places where President Trump is fixated. Again, he needs a little bit of headroom to get that done. I'm willing to support that. But this is exactly the type of thing that the American public expects to see from us.
Has anything changed? I know that vote where those 26 Republicans voted against it happened a month ago or back in March, but has anything changed since then? They are still pushing against codifying these things into law?
I think as more information comes out and more of my colleagues see the abject waste that has gone on in places like USAID, I think it's going to become easier and easier for them to realize and get their arms around cutting some of these programs. Now, granted, these programs have constituencies that are very vocal in Washington. They've been lobbying very hard. But again, transparency will make a big difference for my colleagues. I certainly hope to see even more of it. I think that'll make it a lot easier to get to where we need to be. That takes time.
Senator, let me get your take on these peace deals that President Trump is leading a ceasefire between India and Pakistan, talking to the Europeans about a potential ceasefire on Ukraine. We don't know if Vladimir Putin will go with it. Apparently, he just launched strikes against Ukraine last night. And then, of course, we're also talking about trade deals. The president's handling so much. Do you believe Japan will be next? You were the ambassador to Japan.
Japan certainly has the opportunity to be next. They're the third largest economy in the world. They have every incentive to step up and take part in what I think will be a transformative situation across the globe. Japan could be a real leader here. If you think about their opportunity to join us from an economic standpoint, from a national security standpoint, again, our largest presence in the Indo-Pacific region is our partnership with Japan. Right. We have more U.S. military stationed there than anywhere else in the region. There's every incentive to do it. I can't put myself in their shoes.
How worried should we be about two nuclear powers at odds, India and Pakistan?
Oh, you're exactly right, Maria. That's a top shelf issue. When you see two nuclear powers like Pakistan and India going at it, it's top concern. That's why President Trump was immediately on it. J.D. Vance stepped up in a remarkably admirable way to leverage his personal relationship with Modi. I've seen President Trump and Modi together. They have a great personal relationship. But it's these relationships and also the gravity of the situation that I think has helped bring this to a quick resolve. I only wish Joe Biden had used his political capital to do the same thing with Ukraine and Russia.
No, it's just unbelievable when you see all that President Trump is working on. You ask yourself, wow, where was Joe Biden on any of this stuff? But of course, the debt is quite important, and we're expecting the government to run out of money in the coming months. Senator, your colleagues, many of them say this is a generational opportunity to actually cut into the $37 trillion in debt. This is the time to make those spending cuts severe. Do you believe you're going to be able to do that in the Senate? Because the last time we checked, the House came up with $1.5 trillion in cuts. The Senate was at $4 billion.
Yeah, the Senate is actually talking more like $2 trillion in cuts. We're very focused on it. The reason the threshold is lower in the Senate is because there's certain rules there that you can't exceed or you can't fall below. Again, we're leaving ourselves leeway to get it done, but every one of my colleagues that I've spoken with wants to see an even greater number of cuts in this package.
These aren't just cowards, as the Hodge twins called them. They're corrupt scumbags. They're admitting plain as day that they benefit from laundering our hard-earned taxpayer dollars, your money, through fake organizations. It's not cowardice. It's brazen corruption. And the real cowards? Yeah, they're the ones staying silent, complicit in this betrayal of American values. These senators need to be primaried, exposed, and held accountable. like if you agree. We've already seen the damage their vote caused, and it's time to demand better. So what's next? Well, hopefully it includes you calling Chapter for your free Medicare help and saving some money. Call Chapter and ask, how can I save money on Medicare? Tell me, what are my options for Medicare plans, as there are over 24,000. And please share this with anyone else that could find benefit in saving hundreds, if not thousands of dollars. 270-467-2426 or visit www.askchapter.org/Kevin, Kevin. Now, we've already laid out the blueprint. Trump's leadership is paving the way for a future where America First isn't just a slogan, it's a reality. We're calling for a reckoning with these corrupt senators, a return to fiscal responsibility, and a continued push for peace and prosperity on the global stage. And the divide between the West and the rest, yeah, it's not just about geography. It's about these politicians who refuse to let go of their gravy train. But mark my words, patriots, are you hearing me? Are you there? Are you listening? Are you still following? With Trump at the helm and us united, we're going to fix it.
I guess the way I would think about it is that our most important rights and freedoms are safe if and only if they apply across the board. So just like freedom of speech isn't freedom of speech if it's only for speech we agree with, right? It's why, because Voltaire said, I detest what you have to say, but I will defend to the death your right to say it, right? It is precisely with disagreeable speech that we prove that we really mean it when we say freedom of speech. Same thing with the rule of law. You know, they're saying like, oh, well, this guy, you know, he's a criminal. The whole point is that no one person, least of all, no one politician, gets to decide that you're a criminal. Who decides? We have a process. We have laws. That's what due process is. You're not a criminal because the head of the government of the country you live in says you're a criminal. Then, if that is the way it works, we are not a nation of laws. The whole Constitution points to a way of making sure that we give people that due process, that we count on that due process. And it can involve, for those who are involved in law enforcement and the judicial system here, it involves probable cause and a jury of your peers. I didn't go to law school. I'm not a lawyer. You shouldn't have to be to know that due process is afforded to everybody, because it is through that due process that our society can make decisions, including challenging decisions about what happens to you if you are in fact held to be in violation of the law. As, ironically, happened to the president himself when he went through probable cause, due process, judge, jury, all that. He got due process. So should everybody else. That's how I think about it. Thanks.
We're not going to fall victim to this woke mind bullshit ideology and rhetoric being pushed by folks like Pete Buttigieg trying to run their shadow 2028 presidential campaign. And it doesn't matter how bad he attempts to try and grow a beard or facial hair and pretend to be masculine. J.D. Vance, he is not.
Two Florida men face kidnapping charges after police found them with two teenage girls from Johnston County. Authorities took 18-year-old Erickson Ulo Flores and 22-year-old Edwin Cardenas into custody on Sunday night. Both men are from Daytona Beach. They're accused of kidnapping a 14-year-old girl and a 15-year-old girl from Clayton. More charges are pending for the two men as they await extradition to North Carolina.
So I don't know. What do you think, Pete? Would you say that these men aren't criminals either, or should we allow them due process and spend our taxpayer dollars on illegals who have criminally trespassed into this country and are committing crimes? Yeah, you've got a bright future ahead of you of running for president, you fucking sucker. Hit that like button, share this truth with every red-blooded American you know, and let's keep fighting for the America that we love. God bless President Trump, and God bless the USA.